Yo, I'm Brendan. What exactly happens if the stock market continues to grow like it has this year? A lot of people like to talk about things when they're bad, when they're about to get bad, when the crash is coming, when the doom and gloom is here. But not enough of us talk about what's happening when things are good. Well, times are really good right now, and I want to do a little experiment to see what would happen if it continued like this for 5, 10, 20 more years. What would exactly happen to our accounts? Let's find out. As an example, this year, the S&P 500 has grown over 17%. This is ridiculous. 7 months, 17%. In the last month, it's gone up 2.1%, which is also ridiculous. And especially if you're sitting here going, 2%, like what's the big deal? Who cares? That's not that big of a gain. Au contraire, it is. And I'm going to show you in the next 3 minutes exactly why it's ridiculous. My own investing account here, this is my Robinhood dividend account. And specifically, I'm investing here for dividends, for dividend income. I'm not trying to make this grow. And even still, my account has grown 3% in the last month. Actually 3.07%, but you get the picture. So exactly how crazy is 3% growth? Because I agree on the face of it, 3% sounds like a small number. 2%, who cares? It's not going to change the figure that much, right? Well, if we give it a little bit of time, not even that much time, you'll see how insane this growth really is. So if we started with basically $0, I have to put in 1 for this calculator, otherwise it won't let you do it, and you only invest $100 a month and you do that for 10 years, making 42.6% interest for the year. That's 3% per month. You're at $112,000 in just 10 years. And you know what they say, the first $100,000 is the hardest to get. So watch how crazy this compounds after that and watch how fast you become a millionaire. Then in just 10 more years of doing the exact same thing, throwing in $100 a month into this account and getting this ridiculous return, you go from $100,000 to $4 million. For most of us, that might even be enough to retire. But let's say you didn't want to retire and you wanted to keep working like a normal kind of working lifespan. Let's say you did this for 30 years. How crazy could this get? Really crazy. $140 million by investing $100 a month. This is completely ridiculous and insane. So if you could make $140 million in a normal working lifespan, how fast would you go from 0 to a millionaire if you could make 3% per month? Well, somehow, if you could keep making that crazy return, it would basically take you 16 and a half years to go from nothing to millionaire by only investing $100 a month. Minimal effort, minimal sweat, minimal difference to your lifestyle, and yet you're becoming a millionaire. That's pretty amazing. But something that's still evident, even with a crazy return like this, even with something that's ideal, that can't happen in real life, I just want to point out how slow this growth really is. It takes 13 years to even get to $250,000. Imagine getting a return this insane and this amazing and still sitting there for 13 years and going, I'm barely a $250,000 and just feeling frustrated about that. So then if we come back down to earth and we think about what the stock market actually averages per year, which isn't 42.6%, it's closer to like 9%, it's really going to feel slow. But the truth remains that the growth can happen if we stick it out for the long term. And if the stock market keeps growing like this, hopefully it does, I'm counting on it, then it will eventually reach this point where it ramps up and it just grows year after year so fast. You know, once this line starts to really have that upward trajectory, which it does with our own accounts, with our own net worth, you might go from having a balance of $1.4 million in 2041 to $2 million in 2042. In 1 year, that big of a difference. Then the next year after that, 2043, $2.8 million. You're going up by $800,000 in a year, doing basically nothing. Granted, this return is crazy, but you get the point that it's really, really slow for so long. It's so easy to give up. It feels like nothing is happening. It gives you all the reasons to give up. And by the time you'd given up, you would have just started to really experience some growth. That little green line would have finally peeled off of that horizontal axis and started to experience some year over year compounding. But if you quit, you'll never experience it. Okay, so my 3% per month number that ends up being 42.6% per year is crazy growth. But the actual S&P 500 this year has gotten about 2% per month growth. So if we do that math, that ends up giving us a 26.8% return for the year. And that's actually happened. That's something anybody could have indexed into. So let's do similar math here and say, how fast could you have this minimal effort and become a millionaire there? And also, what happens if you just invest like the average kind of person with the average salary? How crazy can that get? Let's find out. So 26.8% of annual growth, investing the same $100 a month, starting from 0 and doing that for 20 years, you'd have over $500,000. It would take you about 22 and a half years to go from 0 to millionaire, which is still pretty great because most people never become millionaires. Most people never see $1 million net worth outside of maybe their home. Like maybe you bought a home in a fantastic area 40 years ago and it's appreciated a bunch and you paid it off. That's all fine and dandy, but without something like a reverse mortgage or some other way to pull equity out of the house, it's not actually going to help you to live the lifestyle you want in retirement, especially not early retirement. Then after After 30 years of doing this with minimal effort, just with what the actual stock market has gotten this year in terms of returns, we're talking about having $6.2 million after a standard 30-year working career. Really, let's talk about that. A standard working career is longer than 30 years, but I know it pisses people off whenever I put in something like a 40-year time horizon. Even if it results in $66 million, it still feels like a really long time to work from 20 years old to 60 years old, even though I think realistically that's what most of us do. We might even work longer than that on average. We might have like a 45-year actual career, in which case, you should retire before you have $218 million. That doesn't make sense. You got to pull the plug before then. So then what happens if you invest with something like the median income? If the median income right now is about $75,000, $100 a month is a tiny little fraction of that. It's a lot healthier to be investing 10, 15, 20% of your income so that you have a chance to really make this money grow. So what if we did that? Well, let's say you're taking home $55,000 and you're investing 10% of that. That's $5,500 a year, which amounts to about $450 per month. So if you contribute that amount every month, starting from zero, and just do it for 20 years with the kind of growth we've had thus far in 2024, you'd have $2.5 million just in 20 years. A more normal working career, you'd have $28 million. And just to highlight how ridiculous that is, let's say that you did this for 30 years and you had $28 million in your account. Typical advice tells us that you can withdraw 4% per year and basically never run out of money as long as the money is invested correctly. That would mean that you're paying yourself over $1 million a year in salary, and you could even adjust that for inflation over time and basically never run out of money. $1 million a year salary sounds pretty good for only having invested $450 a month. But the reality is that these aren't the kind of returns that we can expect all the time. The stock market doesn't just hold fast to making 2 or 3% per month all the time. We're living in a fantastic time period right now. I recognize that's going to come to an end, so subscribe now if you want to see the video that I'm going to make later on this week about people claiming that an upcoming stock market crash is just right around the corner. Some very intelligent people who have predicted those in the past are writing articles about it. They're doing interviews about it. They're explaining exactly why they think that is. So I'm going to do a little deep dive into that, do some research, and report back what I find to you. The point of making this video and showing you this kind of chart and growth and to call out this for what it is just to try and revel in the time that we're in. It's like Andy in The Office. You don't know what the good days are until they're gone. Sometime or another, before we know it, these good days are going to be gone. The stock market isn't going to be up 17.7% year to date. Something will happen economically, politically, some international event will happen, and this growth will be over. But what I want to point out is this is an incredible time. We should be celebrating this. I'm not a big fan of checking your account balance. I don't think it's that healthy for us, but right now is a fun time to do it because you're probably at an all-time high, depending on what you're investing in. The other reason I wanted to point this out is just to say, if you're not getting 17.8% year to date in whatever you're investing in, odds are you might be better off just using an index fund. Track the total stock market, track the S&P 500, something like that, because if your individual stocks are in the dumps right now, if whatever crazy investing strategy your Uncle Larry told you to do is not working right now, at least we know that an index fund that tracks the S&P 500 would have made you a very happy person this year in terms of your return. But I'm not in the business of giving investing advice, so invest however you want. It's your money, it's your life. Do what you want. For me, I like something that balances risk and return, and so something like an index fund makes sense. Even though we can recognize that our days of growth are numbered, that we're not going to have a crazy year like this every single year because statistically that's just impossible, we can still look back on the max timeline of the S&P 500 and go, wow, this is pretty incredible. Look at how much that chart has moved over the last 25 years. And that includes these crazy timelines, like right here, February of 2020, absolute plummeting. I mean, that is the timeline that people panic right here when it's going down, when the world is falling, when everything seems terrible. And that's when the old saying could be potentially true, which is be greedy when other people are fearful and fearful when other people are greedy. Then we had this rocketing upwards year of growth or 2 years of growth right after that. And then we had another downturn. And this is the timeline when the fortune is made. It's not today when we're at an all-time high. And it's not even 100 years ago when your great-grandpappy could have invested money and didn't. He bought a Model T instead. No, it's right here in these moments. Whenever people are saying, the stock market's a bad idea. It's not a great time to invest. That's probably when it's a better time to invest. Because then things like this happen from March of last year to now July of 2024. Look at that perfectly straight up and to the right line. It's amazing. Okay, a little dip in the middle here. October was a little bit rough, but then bam, just incredible, ridiculous growth. And the people who stayed when the market went down are there to experience this growth. The doom slingers and the Armageddon worshipers will always have a leg to stand on because the stock market will always have some kind of balancing out that's happening. There's going to be up times and down times. There's always going to be reasons to fear and wonder what could happen in the future that could potentially destroy this whole thing. And hey, they could completely be right. Investing in the stock market is not for everyone. But what I wanted to try and call out is just a little bit of these kind of miscommunications and misunderstandings we have in the stock market a lot of times. We are fortunate to be alive right now, living in this incredible period of growth. So let's revel in it. Let's celebrate it. For me, I'm going to try and not sell anything because I've got all these gains that I'd be taxed on then. So I'm just going to buy and hold and leave everything there, because then long term, we're going to benefit the most from this. That's about it for today. It's just a short one. The secret comment word is peak, because tonight I get to go hike the tallest peak in Arizona, Humphreys. It's going to be awesome. We're making the big drive to get up there. Hopefully there's not a bunch of thunderstorms and crazy rain and stuff tomorrow, because that can cut the hike short. It's very dangerous if that happens. But so far the weather forecast looks pretty clear, so we're going for it. Anyway, see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Thank you, members, for supporting me directly. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. There's a bit of hail. The trail is turning white, which we've done before. We don't need to do it again. Wow.